Hi, I'm Matt Jackson from Jackson's Gymnastics Consultancy. I've teamed up with Gym Club Solutions today to bring you a video on looking at progressions for takeoffs for round off flick tuck back. Okay, so our first progression for looking at tuck back is how we take off sensibly into the tuck back, making sure the gymnast understands where their head should be, where their arms should be, and also importantly what their hips are doing to help them take off in the right direction. So we're going to use the springboard. The gymnast is going to kick to handstand onto the springboard. So by doing this, we're going to simulate the last half of their back flip to take off into their somersault. So we're going to ask the gymnast to do a very slight arch, creating a core bear. As we snap down, we're going to lift the gymnast up onto the springboard, showing how they use their hips to take off vertically to get a nice high tuck back. Okay, so we're going to look at the next progression for takeoffs for round off flick tuck back. So again, we're going to use the springboard the same as the previous exercise. This time we're going to enhance it by doing the gymnast taking off and then performing a tuck shape, focusing on their head position and where they're looking to hold the tuck shape throughout the tuck somersault. Okay, so the gymnast is going to kick to handstand again. We're going to look at a tight arch, snapping down and holding a nice tight tuck, and then tipping over to stand. Another progression we can use for tuck backs is using a wedge with a nice soft mat at the end of it to simulate the takeoff and the gymnast feeling the tuck position on their own. So the gymnast is going to jump using the same technique as before, lifting their hips, keeping their head in. As they hit the wedge, they're going to roll down the slope to simulate the feeling of the back somersault. So the gymnasts are going to perform the exercise now. Perfect, good girl. Good girl. Okay, so the final progression we're going to use for standing tuck back for the tuck back progression is we're going to use the springboard, so we're on a slightly raised surface, again with a soft mat for a nice safe landing, and we're going to support the whole skill now, so the gymnast can feel the whole movement and become spatially aware when they're in the somersaults to look for the floor with a nice safe landing. Okay, so when we do the skill, we can support this in different ways. The first way I'm going to support the skill is around the core. So one hand's going to be on their lower back, one hand on the top of their ribs. This is to help them lift their hips up as they take off. And this one will push the gymnast from their hips to help them rotate onto the mat. Very good. As you see the gymnast rotate over, my backhand will change and come onto their back to help them with a safe landing. So the same support around the core, lifting the hips. The backhand then changes to catch the gymnast at the end. Okay, so leading on from the takeoff positions, we're now going to connect the standing back flip into the takeoff position for the round off flick tuck back. So the gymnast is going to perform a back flip with support, and then the same takeoff position as we used previously on the springboard to make sure they're setting properly at the right angle, keeping their head in so they have vision of the floor when they land the tuck back. Okay, so exactly the same, ribs in. Okay, so moving on now, we're going to connect the back flip into a stretch jump and then connecting the tuck back position at the end, at the top of the jump. Most importantly, we want to feel the set. The somersault should happen at the top of the jump, not leaning backwards. So we're going to look at where head position is, where hips are, to get that lovely vertical takeoff for the highest tuck back we can do. Okay, so ribs in. Okay, and moving forwards into one of our final progressions now, we're going to connect the standing back flip into the tuck back somersault to land on a soft safety mat. So we're going to support the gymnast in the same way as we've done in previous videos with the back flip with the hands on the belly and back, and the same way with the tuck back as we showed off the springboard. Okay, so looking at developing the round off flick tuck back, we want the gymnast to be able to take off in the right position to land on the safety mat. So how we do this is we ask the gymnast to take a step forwards in front of the mat, and then they're going to perform their round off back flip away from the mat to give them their starting point so they can go into the correct position to land on the safety mat for their tuck back. Okay. Okay, so moving on to the final progression, we're going to do the round off flick tuck back all connected together on the floor. Again, we're going to use the safety mats to make sure the gymnasts have a nice, soft, safe landing. Once they've done that again and the skill is consolidated and they can do it on their own many times, we can remove the mats away so they have a softer landing there. And they can also use this in times when they're progressing for competition, when they need to land on a harder surface. During normal training, it's good to use a safety mat all the time. Okay. In case they do a double back like that. Okay, so the final progression is the gymnasts are now going to try the full skills on their own. So the round off connected to the backflip and the tuck back, landing on the soft safety mat. Looking at these progressions, we hope that they've helped you. Please take them away, use them in your clubs, enjoy them. If you need any further help, don't forget to get in contact.